Hey everyone, Token Dave over here. The dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by. You know, DC has a consistent foundation. When you talk World's Finest or Trinity, you automatically know you're talking about Superman and Batman or Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Marvel doesn't have that. Marvel, it all depends on when you got into Marvel. If you became a fan of Marvel in the 2000s, your foundation is pretty much Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor. If you got into Marvel in the 90s, your foundation was pretty much Spider Man and the X Men. If you're older than that, your foundation was Captain America, Spider Man, and the Fantastic Four. And March Madness is ending with the heartbreak of every fan of Marvel, regardless of any generation you came in. The misrepresentation of the Fantastic Four in any live action adaptation. Specifically, I am talking about the 2005 version of the Fantastic Four, which, to be frank, is the best cast and representation of the team itself. You know what? Before I go into any detail about that, let's get into the plot of this movie. Pretty much, Reed Richards is a well-known scientist whom is actually a bit of a failure. Despite his calculations always being accurate, he never turns a profit, unlike his classmate and rival, Victor Von Doom, whom is the head of his own private organization, who has massive success, especially in the success of basically winning the heart of Susan Storm, Reed's ex-girlfriend. Reed actually convinces Doom to basically go on a research trip in a space station where Reed believes that cosmic radiation holds the key to advancing scientific discoveries. However, Reed's miscalculation, has the cosmic radiation approaching them a lot sooner than expected, and the radiation bombards every member, including Reed, Stu, Ben, Reed's best friend, Johnny, Sue's younger brother, and Von Doom, and this radiation changes them in the most fantastic and uncanny ways. However, not everyone has the same reaction to their changes, and Von Doom blames Reed for his miscalculation and thus is seeking vengeance upon the other members of the away trip to basically justify his ambition. And that's the best that I can come up with right now, because one of the things about this movie that's such a heartbreak is the lack of direction. Now, I have to admit this, as you all know, I am a big Marvel Comics fan, and the Fantastic Four is my favorite superhero team. So pretty much when I heard that they were doing the Fantastic Four, and I saw this cast of Ian Godfrey, of Michael Chiklis and Chris Evans as basically Mr. Fantastic, The Thing, and Human Torch, I was ecstatic, especially since Julian McMahon was playing Von Doom. You couldn't get a better cast than that, The one character that always had my suspicion was Jessica Alba as Susan Storm. I'll get into that momentarily. So, here's the thing with this adaptation. How can I say this? Yeah, this movie's bad. This movie is bad. Now, granted, basically, some of you that have been following me, I know what you're asking. You say this is bad, but you enjoyed the 2003 Hulk. Well, here's the problem. At least with the 2003 Hulk, they actually got the feel of the character correct, and they actually went in a direction which is more akin to the comics. Here, yeah, yeah, there wasn't a direction at all. It was pretty. You could pretty much tell, but you could pretty much tell when you were watching this movie that basically, this is where there is a lot of exposition dumped and a lot of forced drama, but there was no way to know, okay, uh, where is this movie going towards, I'll be honest though, the performers, or every actor here did as good of a job as possible. You had Ian Godfrey, for those that don't know, Ian Godfrey played Lancelot in the Arthur attempted revival, and as well as he was in Titanic, and pretty much has the look and is able to pull off Reed Richards exceptionally well. His absent-mindedness, him always thinking about formulas all the time, and his awkwardness because he is more comfortable when it's talking about science. And it displays with his frictious relationship with Susan Storm. And okay, let me just talk about the weak links. Okay, because I can go into detail, but I'm going to focus on the weak links. Jessica Alba as Susan Storm. Now, I know that Fox was trying to jump on the bandwagon with Jessica Alba because she was a hot commodity at the time. But Susan Storm is actually the first female of Marvel. She is the first superhero female, and she is considered the mother of Marvel because she is basically second in command of the Fantastic Four. And she is, a very strong-willed female, and she has such devotion to Reed despite their tumultuous relationship over the years. And here they make her out to be pretty much almost borderline materialistic, and not for, and in one aspect, and in another aspect a bit flimsy because she starts out with Doom for a long time period, and basically you could tell that she's longing for Reed. It's just that Reed's taking too long, and it's like, lady, if this is the man that you really want, and you know that he wants you, why jump to the arms of another dude in order to get this guy's attention? Because that's what she pretty much does. And but then again, from my experience, this is how most women are. But it still makes her look fairly shallow. And when she's supposed to be that commanding presence, yeah, it falls flat. And we have, Gillian McMahon as Von Doom. What a fucking waste. This, you got a good actor to play him. Someone that's like, hasn't been able to break out and is actually fairly good when he's playing a villainous role, but you give him nothing to do and you make him one of the most hollow two-dimensional villains, which Von Doom is not. Von Doom is one of Marvel's, forget about Marvel, Von Doom is one of the most greatest villains ever created and ever concepted. I can go a lot longer talking about Doom, but pretty much they dropped the ball with Doom in this movie. Everyone else is remarkably cast really well, and I'll have to admit that basically the director at least understood the characters well enough to have them play off of each other and act like their comic book counterparts. Which, if you kind of think about it, the problems that the MCU has right now with basically focusing on the heroes way too much and not focusing on the villains enough, I pretty much think this movie displayed that trend, and that started that trend. Despite all of that, and you having some forced drama, the special effects were all over the place. They range from being very bad to being decent. The practical effects used on the thing were on a thing, Michael Chiklis, was actually remarkable. I'll give it that. The special effects with basically Susan Storm going invisible, and especially Johnny with the flame all over him, done very well Give the movie that. But for some reason, when it came to the metallic and electrical effects of Von Doom, they dropped the ball on that. And Reed Richards basically stretching his limbs, it looked really, really goddamn horrible. And to top it off, basically, the conflict in this movie, there was no reason for the conflict. It's just, pretty much this one rich guy got his ego bruised and everything, and it basically prevented him from owning his company as it went public, and that's his motivation for revenge against everyone else. And the movie itself, like, I can understand this being an origin movie, and there's some dramatic tension that they're supposed to like display, but good God, it just, most of it felt forced, or most of it felt way too long, as this review is. Okay, so all right, I've tried to do 5 takes of this review, but I'll just sum this up basically. Lack of direction, lack of focus. Lack of direction, lack of focus, and lack of thrills. That's what this movie dropped the ball on. And pretty much, Fantastic Four is whack. It's a shame. And you know what the worst part is? This is actually not the worst representation of the Fantastic Four. Oh no. That will be for another day. Agree? Disagree? You got any other additional comments? Please drop them below. Give me a like. Follow me on Facebook at Token Dave, or on Twitter at TokenDave80. Subscribe. Ring that bell so you know when a new video loads. And boy, what a depressing way to end March Madness. However, it can get worse. And it will get worse when I come back to March Madness. Maybe not next year, but the year prior. You will see how worse Marvel Madness has gotten. Take care, everyone.